We're starting with a Fox News alert. Israel beginning to withdraw military forces from parts of Gaza after Israel's cabinet approved the Trump-brokered peace deal with Hamas.
Yeah, I guess 24 hours to move out, and they were able to do it, but not all the way out of Gaza yet. Israeli troops pulling back to an agreed-upon line within 24 hours, remaining in control of 50% of the Gaza Strip.
So that's when the clock begins. Hamas will have 72 hours to release all 48 hostages, including both the living and the dead.
And in Gaza, thousands of Palestinians begin returning to the north as the ceasefire is taking hold.
So we are live. We have live team coverage with Peter Doocy at the White House on the president's plans to visit Israel and the negotiations that led to the historic agreement.
But we begin with Steve Harrigan with the very latest in Israel. Good morning.
Brian, certainly those live images coming out of Gaza show that this ceasefire is in effect and is working. People feeling it's safe enough, Palestinians, to walk north, many of them heading back to their homes after being displaced by 2 years of warfare, making the walk north with the Mediterranean on their left. The withdrawal of Israeli forces has begun. It's to a predetermined line. Israeli forces will maintain control of just over 50% of Gaza. Just a short time ago, we heard from the Prime Minister, Netanyahu. He addressed the nation here. He said, in addition to giving up the hostages, Hamas is going to have to disarm. He said it's going to happen either the easy way or the hard way, implying that Israel will use force, if necessary, to make sure Hamas disarms. Finally, Israel has published a list of prisoners it's going to release from jail as a result of this deal. Some of those prisoners to be released carried out acts of terror that killed Israelis. Before this list was made public, Israeli officials notified family members, telling them that people who killed their family members may soon be released. Guys, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Steve. A lot of moving parts, and it seems like everyone's complying.
Can I ask him a question?
Yeah, can we ask Steve a question?
Describe in detail, Steve, what we're seeing.
In Gaza.
Yeah, in Gaza. They're walking, it looks like, over that bridge. Where are they heading? Are they heading to the larger city in the background?
They are walking north. That's the Mediterranean on their left. They're on foot. A lot of families, a lot of these people have been displaced, moved from one place to another over 2 years of warfare. Now the fact that a ceasefire is in place, the guns are quiet, it's safe enough to begin back home. And this is really the clearest testimony that the ceasefire is holding. It's safe enough to go home.
So no cars. They have to walk. Their cars have been destroyed, or maybe they don't have cars?
I don't have the answer to that.
Yeah. Oh, there are some cars in there. Our producers are telling us.
It's mixed, but they believe. Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
So it's really hard to be skeptical right now because you have a situation where this thing is in full stride. Remember, the Saudis and their Saudi local broadcaster in Saudi Arabia on the Cairo Bureau has said the mission to collect all the hostages is already underway and put them into one area. Islamic Jihad, one of the terror groups that was not addressed, they seem to be for it. Even Iran has said positive things about it. So the pressure on Hamas and the belief among the Palestinian people that it's safe to go back, that means that they believe this is going to happen, number one. And number two, they believe that they're not going to be attacked by Hamas, who's been taking their aid for the last few years.
Brian, I'm shocked by that last point that you made about when it comes to Iran, because as many people know, it was Iran's goal to unite the Arab world and the Muslim world. And now the president has been able to do that in support of peace.
Yeah, it's economics first.
So Brian had an interview a little bit ago. He interviewed the brother-in-law of one of the hostages, and their story is just really sad. He was in the house with his wife and their 2 young daughters, 2.5 years old and 4 years old. They heard the siren sound in the middle of the night, woke them up. The terrorists entered their house, captured them. Then they fortunately left the mom and the kids at a neighbor's house, but they took the dad, they took the husband. And there have been some signs of life, 2 different signs of life, a video released by Hamas in April of last year, and then also some information from a released hostage saying he's still alive. Look at this beautiful family, and just separated because of these terrible individuals. Here is an interview, Brian's interview, with the brother-in-law who's speaking in behalf of the family.
We're so grateful that the president, the peace president, has achieved what people thought was impossible. My sister has been a rock ever since October the 7th. After she was rescued on that terrible day alongside the rest of my family, and process the fact that Omri was taken in front of her eyes, brutally taken after they were all held captive. It was live streamed on Facebook by the terrorists. I've been following her footsteps to ensure that Omri's story and the story of all the hostages is being heard, and the president heard us. And that's why this amazing president, who has been doing everything he can to ensure all stakeholders commit to a deal, managed to make this breakthrough. I'm so grateful for him and his administration.
And you might have seen him in that video. Remember when they found out that the president had done this deal? There it is right there. And the president was on the phone talking to the family members. You can see the man that you interviewed,
the gray suit.
I just find myself still being impressed that the president has maintained a relationship with those families throughout the entire conflict. He's had that one-on-one time with them.
President Trump is expected to return to the Middle East on Sunday as we learn more about the negotiations that led to this historic peace deal.
Peter Ducey is live at the White House with the details. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. And now that the first part of this peace deal is in effect, President Trump is no longer just outright dismissing the idea of some point recognizing a Palestinian state. That is something that he did as recently as last month at the UN, saying that it would be a reward for Hamas. Listen here to how he is answering that question now.
We're going to see how it all goes. And, you know, there's a point at which we may do something that would be a little bit different and may be very positive for everybody. But we'll be looking at that at the time.
Mr. President,
I think we'll get to that. I think we'll get to that period, too.
President Trump spent a lot of time on the phone this week with his two negotiators on the ground, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Mr. Kushner has kept a very low profile during the second Trump administration compared to the first time, but used contacts and experience from negotiating the Abraham Accords to help the president get the deal across the finish line.
I really want to say that this all would not have been possible without the bravery of the IDF and the soldiers, what they've accomplished not just in Gaza, but also what they've done in the theater over the last couple of years to eliminate Hezbollah in the north and really degrade them.
This morning, President Trump is going to be off to Walter Reed for a planned physical, and then the plan is at some point this weekend for him to visit the Middle East. Back to you.
Do we know where he's going, Peter? I mean, originally I thought Egypt, right? And then Israel, but have you heard anything?
We know that Egypt is a possible stop because that's where they were having these peace talks, and then he is invited to speak to the Israeli Knesset at some point this weekend. We don't know exactly which day, but they are finalizing those plans here today.
Right, and meanwhile, you got the shutdown. So when the president leaves, you got to think the shutdown's not going to end. So does he leave, and where does he go?
It's going to be at Walter
Reed today. Basically, from a practical perspective, that just means that everybody that is going with him, for the most part, is not getting paid. So they can do things like travel the world and find money that was not appropriated or that had already been appropriated. But it's just everybody else on the plane is not getting paid. And then when they get back, they will address that because we don't think it's going to end before Tuesday when the Senate comes back.
Okay.
Right. Thanks, Pete.
Can you imagine the reaction he's going to get when he's in Israel?
I also think it's embarrassing for us as a country when you have the president that just settled a decade's problem, got two sides that totally don't agree with each other to find peace, yet our representatives can't get a budget done.
So,
good point.
But with the first phase being implemented, the most important phase you could argue, but the second phase is really going to be getting people in there to set up a provisional government, a peace council. A lot of them may be Westerners. I know that was a problem with Iraq on the transition. Number two is getting Hamas to actually decommission their weapons. So how do you do that? And who is Hamas? They haven't been dressed in uniforms in quite some time. So that's going to be the tough part. I'm not saying it's hard, it's impossible, but that's why we got to watch this. The key part, though, is the prisoners, the fighting stops, the prisoners out.
Also, how do you de-radicalize people? I mean, that's going to be a genuine conversation.
When they've been trained as little children 100%. To think a certain way, right?
All right, you are looking live as thousands of Palestinians are making their return to Gaza, Gaza City, it looks like in the foreground, as the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has begun because the IDF has backed out as they were supposed to. Thanks to this historic peace plan, it's been brokered and led by Donald Trump. Special Envoy Witkoff confirming this moments ago. The IDF has completed phase one of the withdrawal from Gaza, which means the clock has begun ticking on the 72-hour countdown to release all 48 of the remaining hostages, 20 plus considered to be alive. This as the U.S. sends 200 troops to Israel to help oversee the process. Retired four-star General, Fox News senior strategic analyst Jack Keane joins us now to react. General, your thoughts about the events that are taking place in real time.
Well, certainly phase one appears to be a success. Israel has gone to the so-called yellow line, where they're still occupying 53% of Gaza. Hamas wanted it to be down to 30%. They had to make a concession. Israel kind of got what it wanted here. The second thing is certainly the release of the hostages. Estimates are within 72 hours, certainly those hostages will be released. I think that calculates to sometime on Monday. The dead hostages, it's probably going to take many days to be able to recover those bodies, if they're actually able to recover all of them, to be frank about it. Hamas is giving consideration, give us about 10 days to be able to work through that problem, because they don't have all of those bodies and they don't know where all those locations are. So that may take some time. But the real issue in front of us, assuming the release of the hostages and the exchange of prisoners takes place as planned, is phase two. And is Hamas going to disarm as they say they're going to do, or are they going to renege on the deal? The critical point here is the point that Netanyahu has made, and the president has backed them. If they refuse to disarm, then the green light is given to Netanyahu to finish it and force that disarmament. And President Trump publicly is backing that. And that threat of force and that support for Israel from day one of this administration has made such a difference in this war. When you compare it to what Biden was doing, don't go into Rafah, don't attack Hezbollah, don't attack Iran. All three of those things were removed when Trump came in, gave them all the ammunition, all the weapons they need, full throttle support for what you need to do to finish the war in Gaza. Yes, go ahead and attack Hezbollah. Yes, go ahead and attack Iran, and we'll provide the decisive blow to do that. That has fundamentally changed the Middle East in terms of broad peace and stability in the future. We are on a pathway that we haven't had in 40-plus years as a result of indisputable American leadership exercising its strength. And what a difference that makes when it's on display like this.
And you've always said that. You got to show you fully back Israel without alienating the Arab world. Many thought that would be impossible. Trump has done that because the people in the Gulf states especially seem to really respect the president. So therefore, he's got some cred on the street. So, General, the next phase is interesting. You mentioned disarming. What about an international peace force in there to provide security? Do you have a sense of what countries will be represented in there? And number two, does everyone agree those terror tunnels have to be destroyed?
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about disarming rockets and missiles, the factories that assemble them, the factories that do the manufacturing, particularly of the small-range rockets, the tunnel complexes themselves. All of this has to be done before anybody talks about restoring Gaza. And if Hamas doesn't disarm, there's no restoring Gaza until that fact takes place. And that is what is on the table in phase two. And it remains to be seen. Is Hamas lying to us when they say, yes, we'll disarm? Likely. I think the opportunity for them to surrender and get their own personal freedom is on the line here. We'll see if they're going to take Israel up and the United States on that. So that's a huge question mark. Phase one will likely, hopefully, succeed. We've got a couple of days to go to make certain that's really going to happen. Phase two is going to be a challenge. And yes, an international force will be in there enforcing the ceasefire, and also, as I mentioned, trying to find and help recover those bodies if Hamas needs assistance with it. But phase two is the critical thing, because phase two brings us to the end of the war. And that's what makes this deal so attractive. It is not just about the hostage release in exchange for prisoners. Is an important an issue that is to the Israeli people, and we all understand the emotions and passions involved in here. But it's the first step to ending the war. And that's why this deal is so different than all the other ones that have been on the table. The opportunity is there. Whether we're going to be able to get there or not certainly depends on one factor here, and that's Hamas. Are they going to surrender or not? Or do we have to force their surrender?
All right, General, thanks so much. I know you're going to be on over the weekend, and if Hamas doesn't surrender, not only are they going to be going against their word of Israel and the U.S., but also Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, all those other countries that were involved. General Jack Keane, thanks so much.
Yeah, great talking to you, Brian. Have a wonderful weekend,
Absolutely.
you and the team.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.